Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and we're back with a start of another review series for the next Disney Plus Marvel show, which is Loki, which came out on first episode came out on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking about our non-spoiler thoughts first for the first few minutes, and then go into spoilers in a few minutes, and then we'll warn you when we go into those.
Yep.
I thought, talking about non-spoilers, you watched it before me, you messaged me saying that you think it's the best out of all three Marvel shows so far. The first episode, the introduction.
I think out of all the Marvel shows that Disney Plus have given us so far, this is the most interesting premiere episode. I think it was the longest as well, because I think it was the most interesting in terms of all the stuff they showed. It was the most eventful. I feel like the most happened in this episode compared to WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, WandaVision released 2 episodes on premiere, and even that, both of those episodes combined had less kind of content to them than this did, in my opinion. And yeah, I thought it was really entertaining as well. And Tom Hiddleston, obviously, his charisma and Owen Wilson's charisma just kind of carried this whole show so far. And it sets up an intriguing mystery towards the end. I just loved all of it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it's pretty much the same. I thought it was a great reintroduction of Loki, since we haven't seen him for a while. I guess we haven't really seen any of them in the MCU for a while, to be fair.
Yeah, I guess, the last time we saw him was Endgame, wasn't it? Which was 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and the last time we saw a proper, full performance from him was Ragnarok, I guess. So yeah, I guess it has been a long time, and I think it was very good reintroducing him. And I think this show's going to give Loki, which I liked in the first episode, it's going to give Loki and Tom Hiddleston the chance to actually show off maybe a more comedic side, rather than, I'm a serious villain, or I'm dying, or I'm faking my death.
Well, I guess Thor Ragnarok and all that gave him that, but he gets to kind of go further. But then again, they also did have a lot of good emotional moments in this episode as well, one scene in particular that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think I could say it's got me pretty hooked from the start as well, which I didn't feel with WandaVision especially. Falcon and Winter Soldier I did a bit.
I didn't really feel that with it. I mean, I felt WandaVision, I was intrigued by it. If I'm being honest, I probably thought that WandaVision had a more intriguing kind of lead on to the next episode in its premiere than Falcon and the Winter Soldier did, but maybe that's just me, I don't know.
I think this one did it the best,
I agree
out of all of them. Because obviously with the big, the mysterious character at the end as well, which we obviously don't see.
Yeah.
It's definitely got me, wanting more, I guess. So, I think that's pretty much it for non-spoiler thoughts, because we get into the spoilers, because there's a lot to go through. I mean, this, one more non-spoiler thing I want to say. People were saying that this, changes a certain, if you look at it from a certain aspect, changes the whole MCU, and I think it
unlike WandaVision, that's not an understatement. I feel like that's actually what happens to a certain degree.
Yeah.
At least if it carries on the way it's going, it doesn't
right from the first 20 minutes, everything they're stating is true, and they carry, like you said, they carry on with it. It's definitely a big change to the MCU and understanding how the MCU actually works. In terms of the space and time stuff. So let's just get straight to spoilers then. So if you haven't seen the episode, go and watch it now. Highly recommended. It's on Disney Plus. And come straight back here. We'll be covering the spoilers. So I think start from the start. I guess it picks up it's the scene in Endgame where he escapes.
Also,
he actually plays that whole scene.
Was it just me, or when they play that scene, did it look a bit more grey?
Yeah,
it looked like they did something to the colours of it.
It looked a bit flat. I think
I don't know why the MCU.
It kind of looked flat.
Yeah, I don't know why the MCU does that, because in Endgame as well, when they showed the footage from Avengers 1, they completely flattened the colour. That I know for sure they did it on there. They completely flattened the colours and made it all grey and washed out looking.
Instead of just using the same clip.
Yeah, and I thought it looked really bad in there. It looked kind of weird in this because it was already grey in Endgame. So why they did that again, I'm a bit confused. But it's not that big of a deal. That's just something I noticed.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. But yeah, pretty much we see that whole scene play out, and then we see Loki teleport away through time. It's through time, isn't it? Because he didn't just like teleport to a different location, which he could have done if he wanted to, but I guess he decided to go through time, and he ends up. I don't. They say the location is just like some sandy.
Well, did he travel through time actually?
Well, why would the Time Variation Authority be there then?
That's true. I mean,
they wouldn't have a reason to come.
Yeah.
Also,
that's
one of the things.
Actually, no. Because they went for him because of the variant thing later. That's what.
One thing that wasn't supposed to happen when it all plays out. That's what it was.
On which scene?
So
when they come.
So that's why they came. Not because he traveled time, because he was. Because in that timeline. He's meant to, like, in the normal, that sacred timeline thing, he's meant to stay, like,
oh, yeah, stay with the, yeah.
away with the Tesseract.
Which I have questions about, but I don't know.
Yeah, we get into those in a bit when Loki, because Loki mentions it as well in the show. Yeah, so that's why he ends up in this, like, random sandy place with some of the locals there come up to him and be like, what the hell are you going on about? He still carries on the thing where, like, I'm Loki, I'm a god, all of you should bow to me.
Yeah.
They don't understand what he's saying, so they don't bow, which is quite funny. And then, then the Time Variation Authority shows up with a few soldiers, and, he tries to fight them, but just gets his ass whooped, and then, that's when it all sort of kind of kicks off, and then,
I thought that
we see the
stuff they started, like, with the TVA, and especially the stuff again with Owen Wilson's character and that lady. I don't know what the actress's name was.
The one who's first there with the
big one, who
soldiers.
was like
the one who whoops his ass.
Yeah. I thought all that stuff was really good, especially Owen Wilson, because I love Owen Wilson in like everything. So seeing him in the MCU is really good. And also like the exchanges between all the different like TVA agents, I guess, and different people working there. I thought it was interesting to see how that all works.
I don't know, like, if Mobius is a character, like, already in the comics, but, I assume he must be,
I feel like
in some
he
form.
is, yeah. Agent Mobius.
But it feels like Owen Wilson really fits into this role properly as, like, this kind of, lead agent, like, trying to be, like, a good cop, bad cop kind of thing. I feel like Owen Wilson really fits into the role, and I really enjoyed his performance in the first episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing it more, as well as Tom Hiddleston. I definitely think this might be one of the the best shows in terms of the Marvel ones.
I think it could overtake Falcon and the Winter Soldier potentially, because I mean, as much as I love Bucky and Falcon and that whole story, which I thought was good, I mean, potentially, depending on what they do in this, I think it has the potential to kind of excite. I think it'll be better than WandaVision. Like, I don't have much doubt about that. Even though I did enjoy a good portion of that show, it's kind of ruined by the ending for me.
I think one thing that could throw the show off is how many like stakes there are in it. Because you did point out one thing, which we'll go over now, because they use it in the first scene, where they use that little pod thing to reset device,
the timeline. Which, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if I understand how this works, so maybe they'll explain it a bit better later. But doesn't that just kind of remove all the stakes from this whole show? Because they can literally do whatever they want with any like timeline ever, and then just like go and hit the reset. So they could take Loki to go and fight his variant or whatever they were saying later, which we'll get to in a bit. They could have him do all that, throw him back into the like part from Endgame, just hit the reset button, and then like hope for the best, I guess.
That probably will be the end of the show, probably.
Which that would annoy me, because that like makes the whole show kind of pointless, then, doesn't it? Because it's not like he's gonna.
But I don't think we can expect them to ever bring Loki back anyway.
Yeah, because it's not like Doctor Who, where I mean, for those of you who see Doctor Who, I know you haven't. In the Day of the Doctor, which is the 50th anniversary episode, basically the Doctor like saves his whole planet from being destroyed. But then none of the Doctors remember it except for 11, but at least there's one version of the Doctor that still remembers it. And it makes sense within that show how that works. But with this, I feel like the way they're setting it up, if it does go that direction, I don't know if I'll like it. So I don't know if it'll work.
I think one thing we could see, because we'll skip to the part now. We'll quickly skim over the just what they introduced with the timekeepers and that.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the clip in the trailer where he goes and like signs the documents. This is everything you've said, the sort of comedic stuff. There was a part where he goes through that scanner thing, and the guy goes to him, "If you're a robot, you're gonna explode."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I'm pretty sure I'm not a robot," but then again, how would I ever know? And then he just walks through it.
Oh, they had that scene as well, which was just there for all the fangirls, so where they like shred just before that, where they like get rid of his armor, so you can see shirtless Tom.
Oh yeah.
Obligatory shirtless Tom Hiddleston scene, so that all the fangirls can get excited over that. Which I mean, I don't know.
I think it was funny because he goes, funny. "This is fine as Guardian leather," and they start erasing it. I thought that was quite funny.
That was pretty funny, to be fair, but yeah.
So you get all that sort of stuff done. Then they introduced the idea of the timekeepers, who were the people who made the timeline, the main MCU timeline, and that's how everything's supposed to play out.
I don't know, the way they were describing the whole timekeepers thing, there are questions there. I mean, I feel like I'm not the only one who has this. First of all, how do these timekeepers decide what... I mean, actually, well, before I say this, there's one thing you pointed out to me the other day, which I thought was interesting, which could go some way of explaining it. You said you thought one of them looked like Kang, didn't you?
He looks exactly like Kang. Personally, I think he does, because he was blue. Number one, he's blue.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention on that part to, like, remember that.
It was the head shape. It was the head shape of the, you know what, like...
Was it like a rounded cuboid sort of thing? That's what Kang's head looks like.
But the thing is, it doesn't make sense, because I think those timekeepers, they're meant to just look like that in it without wearing any clothes or anything. They're kind of just beings. I think because Kang's actually bald, and then he wears that armor thing. Yeah,
because I was about to say, that's not how he just looks anyway, yeah.
It's like a helmet, so I don't know. Maybe it could like be something.
Do you remember in SpongeBob in that episode with Kevin, that pickle, where they thought the thing was like attached to his head, and they thought it was a hat, and they rip it off. Maybe it's like that, where it like just looks like a helmet, but it's not.
I mean, I think if they did want to introduce Kang in the show, and they want to do it in a different way to, like, how he's typically viewed in the Marvel comics, they could say he's a timekeeper who just gets pissed off and now just like wants to go and kill everyone kind of thing.
Which, I mean, that would be interesting, to be fair. I think that's a possibility, because that kind of leads into my thing, which is, how do these timekeepers decide what's right, what's wrong? Because I have questions about that, because why is what the Avengers did, because they literally say in this episode that what the Avengers did was supposed to happen, but what Loki did wasn't. But then Loki does what he does directly because of what the Avengers do, so why is that right and what Loki does isn't?
And Loki points out this flaw in the show, so I don't think this is a logical problem in the show that's not being addressed. I think this is a point that will be addressed.
But then again, they could do that thing the MCU does sometimes do, when they just point out a problem in the show or movie that exists, and just make a joke out of it and then never go back to it. I mean, I know they didn't joke about it in this, but when they just point it out and then just never go back to it ever again, that's a possibility. Which, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
I think.
Then also the other thing with these timekeepers, I was going to say just before you carry on what you were going to say. Why didn't they go after Captain America? Because he made his own timeline separate from the sacred timeline. So.
This is one thing where I think you're right here, like, kind of, it makes sense. Why wouldn't they? Because okay, let's talk about the sacred timeline thing for a second.
Yeah.
They introduced the thing called the sacred timeline, which is meant to be one timeline, and if it branches off,
like they show in Endgame, where the Ancient One takes out one of the Infinity Stones and a branch is created, basically. It's like the same thing.
But then a branch is created by Captain America. Actually, no, because branch isn't created by Captain America.
But it is.
Because it isn't, though, because he's there at the end. Because if a branch is created,
he made a parallel universe where, well, I guess it's technically a parallel universe, parallel timeline, whatever you want to call it, where he lived his life with Peggy, and then he travelled back to... That's what the Russos said, at least, so I don't know, unless they come... Because that scene didn't really make...
Oh, yeah, but then after he travels back, that whole timeline must just be erased then and go back to normal, that's why...
Yeah, but it's not erased, because there's still a timeline there where Captain America spent his life with Peggy, and then that whole thing happened, and then he went... Like, just because he travelled back to his original timeline, doesn't mean that all those events were erased. I don't know. That scene didn't really make any sense in Endgame anyway.
Also, well, this is gonna back your point as well. As soon as Loki just does like something out of time, they go to him like as soon as as soon as it happens.
If we're going with that logic, then
could you imagine at the end of Endgame?
Yeah.
Could you imagine at the end of Endgame? You know when they were dancing at the end of the Time Variation Authority teleports in and just kick Peggy onto the floor, and then arrest Steve.
Actually, you know what would be interesting? What I think would be interesting is they made a show where, like, as soon as Captain America time travels to go put the Infinity Stones back and goes to Peggy, maybe the TVA come to Captain America and say to him, I don't know, this is me just, like, spitballing right now, but maybe they, like, go to him and say that, do this mission for us and we'll let you stay with Peggy. And then that could be that whole Captain America Disney Plus show that people want, where Steve comes back and
I think that could be what you're saying there. That could be a good idea if they wanted to. And maybe if they do develop on the TVA enough, they could use that.
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
I've got one other question though, which this is the problem with like 95% of time travel stories. You know, when they said that what the Avengers did was supposed to happen when the Avengers traveled back in time or whatever.
Yeah.
What about in the status quo timeline where that doesn't happen? Like in the before Endgame, where like they didn't travel back in time and knock the Tesseract out of the case and all that stuff didn't happen.
What do you mean?
Like, you know, in the original timeline of the MCU, where before Endgame happened, where I assume in that timeline they would have just actually not assume because they show it at the end of Avengers 1, where they just take the Tesseract away. And then they give it to Thor, and he takes it in the casket up to Asgard or whatever.
Yeah.
What about in that timeline? Like, they said what the Avengers did was supposed to happen, but then that version of the... It's confusing, but that version of the timeline exists where that doesn't happen, so... How does that work?
It might just be like an anomaly kind of thing.
I don't know, this is the mess that you get into with time travel. I feel like Doctor Who has these issues as well, but like Dragon Ball or something, the time travel just kind of works in there. They don't really overcomplicate it as much as they do.
Yeah, you don't need to overcomplicate things. I think what they're trying to get at is that when the Avengers went back in time, that's all supposed to happen, and obviously, like the ancient one says, when you return the stones in place, everything just falls back into place, and that's how it is with the TVA, and that's how the timekeepers planned it out anyway.
Yeah, which, speaking of the stones, by the way, after Loki has this whole conversation with Mobius, where he's talking about, like, does he enjoy killing people and all that, whether he's a good person and all that kind of thing. Loki escapes from his little TVA cell thing, where, by the way, people said they saw Peggy on that part, like someone taking Peggy away, so maybe the thing you were saying was true, where they kick Peggy down and take her away, because people thought they saw Peggy in the...
It's not Peggy's fault, to be fair, it's more Steve's fault, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they took Peggy and said, we'll give her back once you do what we want. Captain America series coming soon to Disney+. They might. Could you imagine if they
announced it at the end of Loki?
I mean... If they do,
because to be fair, that's the end of their run for shows,
I'm
isn't it?
I'm taking this to some sort of copyright office, trademarking it right now, and I'm getting my money. I'm suing him. It's time.
They've probably already planned it and written it and stuff. But to be fair, this is the last series we're getting, which is going to affect the MCU, right? Because What If isn't going to affect anything.
So, I mean, who knows? It could be. Maybe those are like variants, because they do explain this whole
the last one that's been announced. The last one's been announced.
What about Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight and all those shows?
Oh yeah, but they're like...
Ms. Marvel's going to affect the MCU, because that's going to be like a...
to be fair, with those shows, they're like new characters.
What about Ironheart? Ironheart will be like Spider-Man's little sister, because he's like Iron Lung, I guess. I don't even know what the hell you want to call
Iron Boy Jr.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a little baby Iron Man, so you got little baby girl Iron Man, little baby boy Iron Man, and I don't know, they can team up or something. But
yeah, I don't know, crossover.
Yeah,
Spider-Man and Friends.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Spider-Man and Friends than half the bloody MCU Spider-Man movies. But I don't know how every time we talk about the MCU, does it always link back to Spider-Man?
It's because your hate for Spider-Man and the MCU just like...
And they ruined him.
It branches into our video somehow.
Well, getting aside from that, but I guess Spider-Man was in the saga that involves these things, because Loki goes into an office, finds a box where the Tesseract is, and looks inside it, and there's like 1 billion Infinity Stones there.
Yeah, and they're just like, they're powered down.
Well, I guess they're not in a gauntlet. I'm very confused how they even got those, because the guy
No, but it's not in a gauntlet, but you can't pick Infinity Stones up unless you got the power to do so. Except for the Soul Stone, because remember, Remember in Guardians when they do the
that was
dance
that
off
one
thing at the
stone, I
end?
think, though. Like, the rest of them they could pick up.
Wasn't the purple stone was in there though? Wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think that they could, like, the other stones you could pick up except the purple one, like the power stone or whatever. It's the power stone, right? I'm, like, blanking out right now.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
But I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting, but then people were like getting all annoyed about it, saying like Vision died and Black Widow died and Tony died and Gamora died and all these characters died to get all these stones, and then now there's just like a billion of them there. Which, I mean, I can kind of see that point, but I guess the TVA. Do they exist outside of time? I don't really understand how that whole thing really works, to be honest, because the Infinity Stones don't work.
Because Mobius says like the time doesn't work like how it does normally. So bloody God knows what is there. I don't know what they're gonna do with that part, but
that's basically just them just waffling their way out of an explanation.
I think the Infinity Stones thing. I don't think that's gonna have any significance. I think it's just gonna be a reference.
Because I think it was only just there just to show like that these are, as Loki says, like the supreme. He doesn't say exactly this, but he says they're like the ultimate power or something like that.
To be fair, this is like the changing the thought process of the MCU and how it works. That's like in itself like proved that kind of, because now we know that there's these timekeepers which pretty much have control over anything. So to be honest, they could have just like. So they made everything happen. They made the Avengers get together.
Also,
they made Endgame happen. They made.
Doesn't that thing that they were talking about where they're saying Loki takes away everyone's choices? Isn't that just kind of contradicted? So these timekeeper people take away everyone's choices. They just sentence all the people who go against their will or whatever, like they're doing to Loki.
I don't know. I think Loki, but
because they were criticizing Loki for doing that, but they're doing the same thing. Maybe they'll address this.
But Loki points that out as well.
Yeah.
Loki says it as well, because I think that's the one thing that they're trying to do with the show, where it makes like us relate with Loki more because we all have the same question kind of thing.
Yeah. Which I enjoy. I think that's good.
I don't know. It's the point of whether they're going to address these questions or not. Because make us relatable. Like make Loki relatable to the audience. Like that's good. But if you're not going to address half the things like he's being relatable about, then what's the point of it?
Yeah,
kind of thing. Because it's just going to leave us like kind of annoyed because we'll be confused and not know what's happening, and then. They'll just kind of just sit there with their mouth shut, like just not saying anything about it. But I don't know.
I did like the scene after that though, where like after Loki's seen the Infinity Stones, he kind of goes back to the TVA.
Oh, when he watches his life.
And I thought this when I was watching it, and then the writer came out and confirmed it. It reminded me of that scene in Toy Story when Buzz is like he watches the Buzz Lightyear commercial and he gets all depressed. Like when he learns he can't fly, and then he like jumps down the stairs, and he's just kind of like lying there all depressed. It reminded me of that, and then the writer came out and said that was an inspiration. So I kind of felt smart, like just realizing that it felt like a exact kind of replication of that.
I never even thought of that. To be fair,
it reminded me of that so much because I remember when I was watching it, I was talking to my brother, and I said to him that this is like Toy Story, and then the writer said it was, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that scene was really good because because from like pretty much from the beginning when Mobius and Loki meet, he mentions that I have like a clip of you, like a file of your life and how it plays out. I was thinking right from the start, I hope they show Loki watching his death, but I didn't know if they were gonna do that from like in this episode. Yeah. But they did, and
which I like about the show. They're not beating around the bush; they're just getting on with it.
We didn't mention that this episode's like 50-something minutes long.
52 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hefty, which is good. Yeah. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know. It's probably gonna get shorter as it goes along.
Possibly.
But, hopefully, we still get like a lot more.
The
content
second episode is the same length as the first, I think, based on what people were saying, or it might be slightly longer.
People are saying the second episode, like most, like the people who
the early reviewers,
got the previews and stuff. They said that the second episode's better.
Yeah, they were saying it's even better. Yeah, which is crazy because I love this episode.
Yeah, if the second episode's better, then I'm very, very excited for next week.
After the whole like thing with Loki seeing his life, that was like, I thought that was a great emotional moment. But then even then, after that, they have the scene where Mobius comes back and basically says to Loki that we need your help with something. which is, I guess that's kind of kicking off the main plot of this show. Where
I think it was like, one thing, I just wanted to say a few more things about the Loki death scene.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Like watching his death scene and stuff. One thing that reminded me of is, Loki watching his death scene and then kind of agreeing with Mobius, I'm going to help you kind of thing. That reminded me of when Nebula, helps...
helps, when 2014 Nebula turns.
Yeah. And then she feels that she might change. You know when she has that moment where she looks like she might change, but then she goes to shoot Gamora, and then obviously the 2014 one dies. It kind of reminded me of that. But then at the same time, I was coming up with theories where I think that if they wanted to, which I really think they could do, because the TVA are they can talk to the timekeepers.
Yeah.
And even Loki even says in the episode, I want to talk to the timekeepers. Yeah. And then the receptionist guy says they're busy right now, to him. But, I think at the end of the series, as a thingy, Loki, sort of helping the TVA, he might say, can you, sort of erase my death and make me sort of be alive again. But then that one problem with that theory is that it wouldn't make sense because then he would have been there for Endgame and all that as well.
Yeah.
But
also,
I'm not sure.
I don't see how him, his death can't be avoided, can it? 'Cause then the events of Infinity War wouldn't happen because Thanos would get he'd get the Tesseract because Loki gives it to him, but Loki would just hand it over like that if he wasn't planning on killing him. So.
Yeah, but they can't just, what I'm thinking is they can't just make a whole show about Loki where they get the person, the character, us attached to the character, and they develop so much on the character. He goes on an adventure. He becomes good, and then they just return him to the.
That'll be the tragic part. That's where they make you cry. Just like in WandaVision, where they just erase the whole thing, and then it didn't really make any sense in WandaVision, but they did it. Where with White Vision.
Also, another thing is if they return this Loki back to the timeline, where he doesn't get the Tesseract.
Yeah.
That takes place before. Takes place before Thor 2, right? It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. What are you on about when they take the Tesseract back to?
When they take the Tesseract, when he escapes.
Yeah, that was before
if they put that Loki back there, that Loki presumably is going to be a good guy at the end of the show.
As I said, reset device removes stakes. You slap that thing and he just returns to normal.
Oh yeah.
So
that might be the tragic thing.
Yeah, that
where he just forgets that he became good.
It's like Doctor Who, but it doesn't work as well as Doctor Who because I feel like it's just going to be this whole show's pointless. If they do that, I don't know. Again, I'm not 100% sure how these reset devices work, but
I think they're gonna make the character Mobius be attached to Loki, where he won't let that happen,
and then Loki becomes a permanent TVA employee. That's why they have the. That Marvel Legends.
Oh yeah, that could be that could be a possibility as well. I guess those are just theories. I think because this is the first episode, we always sort of spit out our theories in the first episode and then see if they play out in the end.
Speaking of theories, there was the thing at the end, which I don't think this is really a theory, but they did say that Mobius basically says to Loki that your variant, or where we need you to help someone or fight someone in time. And then Loki's like, who is it? And they say it's a variant of you. And then we see someone in a cloak killing people. She sets some agents on fire. I'm saying she because I know for a fact pretty much that this is Lady Loki. I mean, unless they do some big twist on us. Maybe that's supposed to be the twist, but set photos and stuff like that leaked it maybe. Where, I mean, we have a pretty good idea that it's going to be Lady Loki who's killing all these people and who's that person in the cloak at the end.
I don't know, if that's a twist, only because when they say in the show, obviously Mobius says it's you, and just to put into context, obviously this person's introduced earlier on where they when in Mobius's first scene, he's at the scene of a killing.
Maybe it's Mephisto.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, they did show that devil thing.
Yeah,
on the
but that was
that
the showrunner A said that it wasn't Mephisto. B, after WandaVision, I'm not doing that again. C,
I think people are taking the piss when they said that, to be fair.
And C, it's because the horns on that devil look like Loki's crown. That's why I thought, it's obviously, that. I saw that coming a million miles away.
Yeah, and one thing I, just find interesting,
Mhm.
but then I didn't want to like think it only because of like disappointment. But then obviously they confirmed that the variants of version of Loki.
Mhm.
You know when the kid's there
Yeah.
and
She has that blue
Mobius is
stuff in the
speaking
mouth
to the
or whatever
kid
it was.
and then blue stuff in the mouth. I thought, what is it, Kang? Because of blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because because they showed the
It's like gum
the
stuff.
timekeepers before that.
They didn't really
showed
explain.
the
What,
timekeepers
yeah, they didn't
before
really
that as
explain
well.
what that gum stuff was.
I don't know. Maybe it's because Loki's like a trickster, so I don't know. Something probably to do with that, I guess.
Mm. There was also
Maybe the fact the frost giants are blue. I don't know.
Could be, yeah, could be. But there was also the thing. Like, I don't know why. I just remember this now. They had they talked about when they were talking about the sacred timeline splitting off. Whatever they talked about Nexus, like in WandaVision. Obviously talking.
Oh, forget Nexus, man.
They're
Didn't
referring.
even take that anywhere in WandaVision.
Yeah, no, but it feels like they might in this show with this whole variance thing, which I like about this show. It's actually doing things, unlike WandaVision, where it just beat around the bush for about what 7, 8 episodes, and then at the end it all just kind of came together at once. It didn't really end anything. It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
But like you said, if they do the reset thing at the end, this whole thing will just be forgotten. And then no one will find out about the TVA, because I reckon
they did
if they
say
do the
that none
reset,
of
they
these
won't
shows
bring
are
them
going
back
to
up
impact
again.
the movies in a big way. They're not going to impact.
That's
them,
actually
so.
true, yeah.
I don't know.
Let's take their word for it for now, I guess. And I don't think they'll do the reset thing.
I'm just going to go with what we've got right now and say that I'm very excited and interested with this show because the first episode was great.
Definitely. And also, I think I'm trying to think of what else there was like just happened. So yeah, that's pretty much like we've pretty much talked about all the important stuff. Obviously, the end part was the Lady Loki thing. What you were saying about the twist? I think I don't think they spoiled the twist because when they said the variant like is Loki, everyone like anyone who knows the comics pretty well.
Yeah.
Knows the most popular version.
Yeah, it's
I'm pretty sure Lady Loki's already been confirmed.
The other version of I don't know if she was officially confirmed like 100%, but I think I mean, we know she's going to be in the show because I'm pretty sure wasn't she in that Lego minifigure series or whatever for the Disney
I think
Plus?
so, yeah.
There was that. There's like
the toy line's always spoiling stuff for us.
There's like a scene in the trailer where you see Loki talking to some woman, which we can assume is Lady Loki, and there's like a few other different things that have kind of all but confirmed. It's like how people were saying, is Sam going to become Captain America by the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even though we basically knew it was going to happen.
But we already saw a toy line where
Sam,
the pictures were revealed, yeah. I think the Lady Loki thing is interesting. If it's not Lady Loki in a different version, then that would be even more interesting, because obviously that's going to be like something we're not expecting. But I can't really think of any other versions of Loki, to be honest.
Yeah. Not anyone that's famous enough for everyone to
yeah.
kind of go crazy over.
And I'm just really excited for where this show's gonna go.
Yeah. Also, another thing.
Speaking, really good beginning.
Yeah, that's true. I did think it was a good beginning as well. Another thing I thought about this show, I thought the music was really good. I thought the score was like well done, especially like the credits.
Yeah.
I thought the theme was like good, and also after the credits. There wasn't an after credits scene. They had that Miss Minutes thing talking, the little cartoon Cuphead looking character, who was voiced by Tara Strong, by the way. So that was pretty cool. Which is like the voice of Ben 10 and a bunch of other different cartoon characters, like too many to name with that. But yeah, that was cool. They got I was about to say Tara Strong to voice her. But yeah, I guess that's about it, isn't it? That was a good episode.
Yeah, I think overall very exciting. I think start with coming up with your theories, people.
Yeah, this can't get shown.
Don't go too big though, because you might end up disappointed at the end.
Even though that wasn't WandaVision's problem, even like everyone was saying it was, but I don't think that was the problem with that show. I got other gripes with it, but you can watch our review of WandaVision if you want to hear what we thought of that.
Yeah, we did a whole review for WandaVision at the end and stuff. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so you can go back and watch that.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing the same for this show, so make sure you stick around by hitting the subscribe button.
Yeah. And by the way, we're sorry. I just want to say we're sorry we're a bit late with this one because just we've been busy, and also we've got like a few videos coming out like fairly soon, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we're trying to get like loads out because we've got like a list to work through.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you sort of stick around for all that sort of stuff, and let us know how you like if you watched Loki yet. I don't know why you'd be here if you haven't. But if if you have watched it, let us know what you thought and what you think's gonna happen, different sort of thing. I don't want to see any Kang theories in the comments, though.
What about Mephisto theories?
I definitely don't want to see any of those.
Why not?
No, I'm a bit weak from all of those. I'm still recovering.
Maybe they'll make some Galactus theories instead. Go as big as you can. People.
I don't even think they could introduce that.
Make the biggest theories you can. Doctor Doom will appear at the end of the show.
I hope they do something big.
That would be funny if they did.
No matter what it is, I hope they do something sort of like.
It'd be funny if if it's like the opposite of WandaVision, when everyone's too scared to theorize, make theories and stuff because of WandaVision.
I think that is going to be the case from now on because no one wants to overexcite themselves. But the show,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
like a separate
That's a
point,
different case.
But yeah, I guess that's about it with regards to this show. Look forward to a review next week as well, and look forward to the episode because this one was great. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button. Let us know what you guys thought of Loki in the comments below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Check out our Instagram and Twitter, link in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. See ya.